With every passing moment, a new opportunity for success is born, but only for those ready to reach out and grab it. The Tropical Entrepreneur Show with Josh Denning is here to show you the way.
Josh Denning back with another action-packed show for you, continuing my mission to help you get a lot more customers that spend a lot more money a lot more often, and also helping you find your way to market domination and authority. And I have my dear friend David Newman with us again for a second session from Do It Marketing. David has been in this industry for really quite some time. He's definitely one of the true experts in the industry with lots and lots of experience, professional speaker, does keynote seminars. He's got a certification program in his way of doing marketing and content marketing, and it really just helped a huge amount of people. He's been in, on NBC and Fast Company. I think he's a New York Times bestseller, I think, as well. Is that right, David? Did you?
Well, it's not actually. So thank you for the clarification. I've been quoted in the New York Times several times, but that was me, not my book. The book is an Amazon #1 bestseller, and I just checked this morning, and it's still, 18 months after publication, still in the top 10 in its category, which is amazing to me.
That is fantastic. So we're going to be covering, this is a real content marketing themed show, along with the content marketing theme that we're doing throughout the year this year on the show. And we're going to be covering areas around a model which David looks at as your reputation, and then the amplification of that, and then getting leverage, and then the gravity that pulls a lot of those people back into you once your reputation is actually amplified. I think another way that David puts it is credibility with visibility creates that buyability, which I think is really cool as well. And I've read David's book, which is awesome, Do It Marketing, 77 Instant Actionable Ideas to Boost Sales, Maximize Profits, and Crush Your Competition, which I highly recommend you listeners go out and grab. It's a very, very valuable read in marketing and content marketing, and just really all areas of growing your business and things like that. And a lot of great life lessons in it as well. So with that, David, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Josh, it's great to be back. Thanks for having me.
It is an absolute pleasure. So I think obviously some listeners will have heard your story from the last episode, and then, of course, from listening to some of the stuff that you're doing. But let's just, if you could give us a brief overview again of the value that you provide to the marketplace, please.
Sure. Well, I work with small and solo business owners who want to build their reputation and build, like you were saying, build their credibility and visibility and bank account. So I work with a lot of solo consultants like myself. So information marketers, speakers, coaches, consultants, even independent salespeople, independent marketing reps. That's my tribe.
Fantastic. Cool. So awesome. Now, look, I've asked you this question once, but I'm definitely going to ask it again. So let's assume that you were so great that you're putting another chapter together for this book. So if you had to really reach back into all of the experience that you've gained and all of the knowledge and strategies and skills and tactics and tips and fundamentals and principles and all that good stuff to create one chapter in a book that you're sharing with other experts, and this book was really going to be given to 10,000 young entrepreneurs getting started, guys and girls, to really kick their life off, and it had to be what you thought was going to be your other most important, most valuable lesson and training to give them in this chapter. What would you name your chapter, and what would you be training them? What would the message be?
Wow, what a great question. And we could talk about this for our entire time together. Here's the chapter. The chapter is called Solo Sales Success. Solo sales success. Because I think most entrepreneurs, most tropical entrepreneurs, most solo entrepreneurs, they can embrace things like content marketing. They can embrace things like social media. They can even embrace things like branding and naming and positioning, and they can get a handle on that. If all of that works, by the way, if all of that works well, you will have more opportunities to sell. And this is where so many entrepreneurs drop the ball. It's like, uh-oh, they called. Uh-oh, they emailed. Uh-oh, they're interested in working with me. Oh my gosh, what do I say? What do I say? How do I say it? What do I do? How do I do it so I don't blow it? And I transition elegantly, and I pivot from a marketing conversation to a sales conversation. And there is a little bit of sales strategy and tactics in the Do It Marketing book, but I would totally add a chapter, maybe even a whole new book called Solo Sales Success, all the things that we need to do. And Josh, as you know, it starts with mindset. So there's a sales mindset about self-worth and self-value. There's a marketing mindset embedded in every good sales conversation. And of course, there's a sales mindset. There's the goal and the intention of closing the deal, getting the check, making the money, making it happen, getting them to say yes. So that would be my chapter, Solo Sales Success.
Yeah, brilliant. Actually, really interesting that you brought that one up, because just before an interview that I just did recently with a really great guy, Kavit, I think it's just his actual surname has just escaped me, unfortunately, but I will pull it up just so that I can do him the justice that he deserves. It is Kavit, my man, Kavit Haria, and from Insider Internet Success, and we were talking about how the three most powerful things were to an entrepreneur or a business person when they're kicking off and really getting started is, of course, first that committed decision, like you were saying, that mindset to really get going, but then becoming great at marketing to bring those people to you. But then if you've got to also become exceptional at actually knowing how to move those people when the marketing's brought them to you into a sales process that actually converts them into a sale. So very timely, considering actually that episode just went live yesterday.
Yeah, no, it's huge. I'm seeing more and more of it because, luckily, my folks that I work with are getting better and better and better at marketing. And now they're coming back going, oh, but I blew the sale. Oh, I lost that prospect. Oh, I said the wrong thing. Or, oh, I didn't ask the right questions. So it's coming to the forefront in my world as well.
So just to dig a little bit deeper into it, David, because it is so critically important to really everything, whether you're selling digital products or services. And a lot of people now, I think, are coming around to starting off with services instead of digital products as well. So it is a little easier to really get running. What kind of things are you teaching your coaching clients, your students, your people in your sphere of influence to really get good at sales quickly and get structured and get scripted and get processes around the sales that makes it work?
Well, so you certainly hit the third one I'm going to talk about, which is the word process, that so many solopreneurs don't have a process. But even before we get to the sales process, the first two things that we work on is really about mindset. It's about confidence. It's about clarity. It's about self-worth and self-value and knowing in your heart and in your gut, and just knowing for a stone cold fact that what you have to offer the world is awesome and it's valuable and it's worth it. And that then follows up, of course, in the sales process with your fee setting, how you're going to go about getting premium clients who are willing to pay premium fees, in fact, who are eager and who are looking to pay premium fees. So all of that's the mindset part. So that's mindset. The skill set, there absolutely is a marketing skill set and a sales skill set. The number one skill is questioning. It's not about pitching. It's not about having the gift of gab. It's about asking great questions and then shutting your mouth and really acting more like an investigative journalist and getting to the answer behind the answer, getting to the motivation behind the motivation. So for example, people say, well, I want to make $1 million. Let's say you're talking to one of your clients and they say, well, Josh, I'm really committed to making $1 million. You say, oh, great. I can help you with that. I have all kinds of coaching and tools and internet marketing. And no, slow down. Why do you want to make $1 million? Well, because then I could do that. Why is that important to you? Tell me more about that. How does that work? What would accomplishing that give you? So I've got 10 more questions after someone says, I want to make $1 million. I don't say, oh, good, I'm a marketing guy. I can help you. I can help you market. I can help you sell. I can help you get the $1 million, right? Because now we're skimming the surface like a guppy. In a sales conversation, you want to be like a shark. You want to dive deep and you want to keep your eye on the prize. Focus on their value, the impact, the results, the outcomes, and the emotional impact that having those outcomes would have on their business. And then the third piece is getting back to the sales process. People don't have a sales process. They have no sales targets. They have no sales goals. They have no sales steps. Step 1, I bring them into this questionnaire. Step 2, we have a consultation call. Step 3, I send them a discussion document. Step 4, we set a time on the calendar. Step 5, I prompt them for a decision. Step 6, I follow up. It's branching. It's like a little flow chart. It can be simple. It can be on the back of an envelope. But so many entrepreneurs, they just wing it. And every sale is different. They have no idea where their next sale is coming from. They have no idea about what their success rate is going from step 1, say, to step 2, or step 2 to step 3, or step 7 to step 8, because they don't have steps, much less tracking their conversion at each step. So those 3 things are huge.
Yeah, you brought up something that I think is really, really super important for the listener to catch as well. And it's something that I'm trying to teach my consultants at the office at the moment at the agency with selling SEO, and that's definitely the questioning. That's absolutely critical. But the thing that you said that I really liked about the questioning was that you have another like 7 or 10 or 15 questions to ask about the answer that you get. So, which was that, that sounds interesting, but can you tell me a little bit more about that, and why do you want that, and what difference is that going to make to your life and your business? And then when they give you that answer, will tell me even more. I can't remember who I heard say this once, and I learned that process you were talking about originally from Experience Hitwise to go really, really deep. But I think it was Perry Marshall that I heard saying that the difference between someone, that's earning 90K or even, to the person who's earning 200K to the person who's earning $1 million to the person who's earning 10 million, where sales processes are involved, a couple of extra questions to each jump in how much you make each year as a salesperson. So like the person that's just getting their 50 or 80 grand asks 1 or 2 questions and then moves on to the next allotted question. Person who's doing 250 asks 2 or 3 questions about each allotted question. Person doing $1 million asks 5 questions about the answers to each allotted question, and the person doing 10 million asks 15 or 20 questions about the answers given to each allotted question. And I thought it's very true, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. And I love that. The more that, I love those levels, right? You have the 2 or 3 question guy, you've got the 5 or 6 question guy, and then you've got the multimillionaires that ask 15 questions. Well, can I share a quick story about that?
Absolutely. And just quickly though, that's 15 questions about the answer giving to...
Oh yes, about each answer. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's deep investigative journalism.
It's really what it is. Great sales. That's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yes, David, please, let's hear this great story.
Well, so I got a phone call. This was a couple years ago. I got a phone call from a local business owner, CEO, who's running about a $10 million business. And he says, well, we have a sales meeting coming up and we'd love you to come in. And of course, I'm primarily a marketing speaker, although I do touch on sales topics, but I also have some tremendous, pure sales trainer, sales consultant friends. So I said, you know what? We talked for a few minutes. I said, this probably isn't for me. Let me connect you with my friend Scott. And I gave him Scott's number and I set him up with a quick 3-way email, and I didn't think more about it. Well, Scott comes back to me about a week later, says, David, that referral, oh my goodness, thank you so much. That was awesome. You helped me land the biggest piece of business in my company's history. And I said, whoa, Scott, this guy wanted a $5,000 keynote or a $5,000 seminar for his sales meeting. He says, well, that's what he called about. I ended up selling him a 6-figure year-long training program for his entire 12-person sales team because what he wanted was a more effective sales team. And so he asked, it wasn't like when's, so here's the 90K guy's question, right? When's your sales meeting? How many people? Do you want handouts or no handouts? Can I use PowerPoint? Can I not use PowerPoint? And he might have sold the $5,000 speech. He says, okay, you're having a meeting. Why are you having the meeting? Well, it's a sales meeting. Why do you have sales meetings? Well, to get people excited. Why are they not excited? Well, because they're not making their numbers. What are their numbers? How short have they fallen? What does that mean to you? What does that mean to the company? What does that mean to your growth goals? Where does this fall in line with your 2015 strategy? At this point, the guy's got a problem that is way bigger than a speech. The guy realizes my 12 salespeople suck and this guy can fix it. And so the whole process of asking all those questions leads to that conclusion.
I think it shows the person that you're speaking to as well, that you are one of the rare individuals that is truly in it to change lives, to solve problems, to become a partner in their business, and to really help them. You are very well. Of course, you're there for your income as well, but you're very much one of the rare people that's very much there for them.
Absolutely. And by the way, I just want to clarify, because a lot of folks listening might not be in the marketing or the sales world as their topic. You can do this with any topic, any expertise, any content. You can be time management, you can be health, wellness, you can be technology, you can be social media, you can be parenting, you can be long-term care insurance, you can be any of these things. It's the investigative question, because a lot of times, Josh, people look at guys like you and me and go, "Oh, it's easy for them because they're in the world of marketing." And that's a direct line to revenue, that you do better with marketing, you do better with selling, you make more money. I can't do that because I'm a fitness expert. I can't do that because I'm a parenting expert. I can't do that because I'm a communications expert. No, there's a cost, and here's the 3 costs to look for. It either costs them money, or it costs them time, or it costs them ego. And we're all pretty well versed about having the ROI money conversation. Sometimes it's about saving time or making time, but the one about ego is huge, because people don't want to feel left out. People don't want to feel left behind. People don't want to feel like a loser. People don't want to feel less than their competition. People don't want to feel like they're not doing their most and they're not, giving their highest to whatever it is. So if I want to lose 10 pounds, you could totally sell me a $5,000 super duper weight loss program, because my end result is my ego. I'm going to be thinner. I'm going to be better looking. I'm going to get more dates. I'm going to have more sex. I'm going to be feel so much better. I'll be able to go out and buy new clothes. I'll be able to look really good in that Ferrari. So you could be a weight loss expert, and you could ask me these 15 questions after every statement that I make, and you're not going to sell me a $27 ebook. You're going to enroll me in your $5,000 super duper weight loss program, because you're enrolling me in the vision of accomplishing my goals.
Yeah, for sure. And when that sale is anchored and attached and hooked onto a true internal deep dream or vision for their life, as opposed to just the money or the surface level results that the first lot of questioning gets out, it's going to stick as well. It's going to hook because it's anchored to the deep psychological and emotional needs, as opposed to just the surface level desires they show the public.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, so that was excellent. Thank you for going a little deeper on that, David. That was very, very valuable, I think, 100%. So let's jump over now to get into the topic of today's show, which is content marketing and how to do content marketing well, and I suppose how to bring people into our businesses so we can run them through the solo sales process that we just went through, or the solopreneur sales process. What was the name of that chapter?
Solo sales success.
Solo sales success. Yes, beautiful. So we are going to get into content marketing. So before we actually get into the framework of the reputation, amplification, leverage, and gravity, how do you see, what is content marketing exactly, David?
Well, so content marketing goes by a couple of different names, and I think some of these other labels may explain what it is and why it's important. So I sometimes call it thought leadership marketing or trusted advisor marketing. But basically, it's taking your content, meaning your advice, insights, recommendations, everything that you can do to be valuable to your target market, and everything that you can do to be helpful to your target market. And you put it in writing, you put it on audio, you put it on video, any format that you choose. And by the way, I don't recommend that people do everything. So if you're an audio person, I love what Josh and I are doing right now. Do audio programs, do a podcast, do teleseminars, do audio format if you're an audio person. If you love video, and I, of course, have a face made for audio, so this is perfect. But if you love video and you're good at it and you find that fun, use video. If you're a natural born writer, awesome. Use writing strategies, use blogs and guest posts and articles and ebooks. But don't feel that you have to do everything, because that's probably the number one source of overwhelm. So once you've chosen your channel, question number one is, what can I publish? Because we're all moving from a marketer and a sales model to a publishing and socializing model. So there's another tip, is if you don't like the word marketing, if marketing creeps you out for whatever reason, number one, I'm sorry, because I love marketing, but that's okay. Take marketing off the table. Take selling off the table. You now have two new jobs. You're a publisher and you're a socializer. And a publisher posts great content in the media channels and media formats of their choice, and a socializer invites engagement. So if I were to boil down marketing, I think we maybe even talked about this, just the soundbite I'm about to share in our previous chat. In the crux of marketing is offer value, invite engagement. 4 words, that's it. Offer value, invite engagement. Do that online, do that offline, do that with your content, do that in everything that you do. Offer value, right? That's a 2-word summary, very succinct, a 2-word label for all of your content marketing strategies. Invite engagement is, what's the call to action? Hey, what's been your experience? Please comment on this blog. If you like this, you'll love my ebook. Click here to, give me your email address and download the free ebook. So whatever that call to action is, it could be subscribe, it could be like, it could be connect, it could be tweet, it could be buy, right? But what doesn't work today is marketers that go out there and the one and only message is buy, right? So you can't, offer value, invite engagement. A lot of people mistake the word sales for engagement. Invite the sale, ask them to buy. It's like, no. We have to date. We have to get engaged. Then we're going to get married. And then all kinds of good things happen.
So, I mean, that's perfect, a perfect intro to segue into the framework. So it starts with reputation, I guess, which is also kind of like credibility, what people know you as. Can you, I guess, steps go into the reputation aspect?
Yes, absolutely. Well, and reputation is your core value. So all your past clients, all the people who already know you and love you, who already have some direct experience with you, they know your reputation. They know that you're awesome, that you do great work, that you're funny, that you're personable, that you're easy to get along with, that all of your advice and strategies and tactics are high value, that they've made money with your ideas or they've benefited some other way from your ideas. And a lot of folks stop there and they say, well, my work speaks for itself. I do great work and that should be enough. Well, it's not. That's level 1. Doing great work is now table stakes. That's the interesting thing. Doing work now that's really awesome and effective and valuable is table stakes. So that core reputation is your work and your track record and the substance of what you do and the value of what you do. But if you stay there, you risk being the best kept secret in your industry. So just having the reputation is not enough.
When you say table stakes, David, you mean it's like every day, it's run of the mill, it's the norm? Is that what you mean?
Yes, it's the cost of entry. It's the cost of entry is that you have to do great work. If you don't do great work, you do shoddy work, you do terrible work, you're a shyster, you're a scammer, word will get out about 10 times more quickly than if you're awesome. So, that's the irony of this, that if your core reputation is awful, all the other amplification will happen on its own. You don't need to do anything.
So reputation in a big sense does come down to the great work that you do. It is that aspect of
absolutely.
It. Yeah, sure. I just want to ask you something. It is a little bit off to the right field, and then we'll come back to the framework. But I think it'll be interesting for the listeners, and it's something I've been wondering as well, which I know you'll know the answer to this kind of question. And it's so I'm at a stage now. I'm starting to transition. So I've been doing digital services now for literally like over a decade, and I've always been on implementation implementation side, very much so. It's all about actually delivering the work. But I'm now starting to transition more into not just delivering work, but also delivering ideas for other people to deliver. And I'm kind of starting to think that there may actually, as long as they're executed, be even more value in plugging into what I know for my clients, as opposed to even just having me implement it. What are your thoughts on the value for people out there that might be selling their ideas and maybe executing and implementing as well? What's greater value?
Which one is greater value? Oh, well, so I'm going to give you a yes and answer. I think both models are awesome. I think people are certainly willing to pay for advice, insights, guidance, recommendations, opinions. That's the whole expert industry. But where the rubber meets the road and where 1 + 1 = 3 is if you take that advice and then you do what you're already doing, which is the agency services, the done-for-you services, the implementation. Because at the end of the day, here's what I found, and I'm about in the same boat. I'm on the other side, is that I've been doing the information business, the advice business, for about 10 years on my own, and then 10 years prior to that working inside companies. But what my clients are coming to me for now is, David, this all sounds great, but you know what? It's a ton of work. Do you have a team? Can you do this for me? Who do you recommend? I don't want to even do this. Because think about the Home Depot model. Home Depot is in the U.S. and I realize that but I think they have Home Depot all over the place. It's home supplies and building supplies.
Yeah.
So they sell three things. They sell tools. If you want to do it yourself, that's great. They sell classes. Come in and we'll show you how to renovate your bathroom. Come in and we'll show you how to hang a garage door. So his classes is level 2. People go to the class. They say, oh my gosh, putting in the bathroom, that's a ton of work. Can you guys do it for me? So now they have installation and contractor services.
Wow.
So think about your business. And Josh, I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to all of our folks as well. Mm-hmm. Think about your business as a 3-pronged business. What can you sell that's tools? What can you sell that's classes? And what can you sell that's installation, implementation, done-for-you services? Because I think that trio is the empire-building kit of the future. That yes, you are the face and voice of your expertise, and you're the face and voice of your company. Yes, you sell tools and strategies and teaching on how they can do it themselves, but there's also a third layer, which is the ultimate result. The ultimate result is, hey, can you take this off my plate? And if the answer is yes, yes, and yes to all 3 of those levels, you will have an evergreen business model.
Wow, that's actually, I think, one of the most simple ways to have heard that explained and to understand it. So yeah, you've got your ideas and your tools. These are your digital products, your reports, your books, your CDs, your DVDs, your kits, your classes, your events, your workshops, your clinics, your seminars, your masterminds, and then your installation is your team that delivers the services for the clients.
Absolutely right. That's the trick.
Very, very interestingly, brilliantly put. In fact, are you going to be? It's funny. It's a kind of similar thing I asked you on our last interview. Are you putting together some clinics to teach that little thing there, or is that what you're already trying to do?
That's some evergreen. That sort of seeps into everything that I teach about the, because even at the beginning of the Do It Marketing book, remember we talk about really nailing down your business model, your revenue model, and your delivery model. So the business model is what's the empire that you're building, right? The service model is what's on your menu. And then the revenue model is how are you going to monetize that? How do you charge for it? Well, what are the price points? What's small, medium, large, and supersize? So I bake that into every conversation. So if I've got someone who's a pair of hands implementer, I'll say, what can you do to share your expertise? If I have an expert business model, I say, well, what can you do to develop some tools and some investable opportunities that package your things into some kind of product, online product, digital product, physical product. And then some people are kind of working their way towards, I want to have all 3 revenue streams, and that's great too. So it's sort of already in there.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And such a, I mean, your book is just one page after another of just unbelievable strategies and knowledge and information. It really is just packed from start to finish with, you could literally go through your book with like a highlighter and a notepad and an Asana project management kit and like kit out a business plan for the next 20 years of what you're going to do.
Well, the problem is you'd probably need 3 highlighters and all the pages would be solid yellow.
Yeah, exactly.
He says with great humility.
It's good to blow your own trumpet from time to time, David.
Well, you know the saying, sometimes if you don't blow your own horn, there isn't any music.
Yeah, and no one else will, and you've got to have a healthy self-esteem.
Absolutely. Right. Well, that's phase 1, right? That's the mindset is, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Now, obviously you can't, a good sales strategy is not bragging on yourself, but internally, and we're kind of having just a friendly kind of chat over coffee here. You have to believe in your stuff. You really, really do.
So much so. And actually, you just reminded me of something that I wanted to say before about sales. And I think another huge mindset shift that's critical for people to have that might be a little bit newer to sales and having a sales process, like those people that you mentioned that do freak out when, oh, wow, someone responded to my cold email and now I've actually got to get on the phone and talk to them. Or, oh, wow, actually one of my landing pages just converted someone that has requested a quote and I've got to get on the phone and they're freaked out. I think what's really important is that they can have that mindset shift where they can start to think that, just totally change their whole idea about sales from it being it is about getting the sale and getting the conversion and making money, but try to shift that to it's also about being a problem solver, being a helper, being someone that helps people transition or transform where they are now to where they want to be and really understand that the person on the other phone has problems, has challenges, and they're looking for someone like you that does what you do to help them, to solve their problems, to care about them, and to hold their hand on that journey to the other side. And when you when you think from that way, you kind of, when you get on the phone, all of the fear and worry and nervousness just goes away because you realize that you're just having a conversation with someone and asking a lot of questions to help them get to the, where they're trying to go. Do you kind of agree with that, Dave?
I completely agree with that. I love that. Absolutely right.
Fantastic. So there you go. I've just had a little bit of a toot of my own trumpet and had it validated. So that was nice.
Absolutely.
So look, let's get back to the framework. So reputation, we've gone through that. That's your work speaking for itself, making sure you're doing great work. And next we're moving into amplification.
Yes. Well, and this is perfectly on point because amplification is essentially a way to do a little bit of horn tooting and make your own music, right? So once you've got that core reputation, the amplification is simply a way to make your signal stronger and to escape that syndrome that we call best kept secret syndrome. You don't want to be a best kept secret. You want to be everybody's secret weapon. So there's your shift for you. And amplification will help you do that. So what does that mean? That means getting the word out. That means starting to spread and socialize your message. So that's where you've got your social media. That's where you've got your niche public relations, press releases, publicity, interviews. Doing fabulous programs like this, for example, that's part of my amplification strategy. And Josh, it's part of your amplification strategy because once this is published, I'm going to spread this far and wide and shout from the rooftops that I was on the Tropical Entrepreneur Podcast. This is awesome. And so this is helpful for both of us as an amplification strategy. It's your blogging, it's your guest posting, it's your article marketing, it's your SEO strategy. If you're doing Facebook ads or pay-per-click, of really any kind, it's an amplification strategy. How do I widen the net? How do I get more people to engage with my content? So it's really about spreading your ideas in all those channels and then broadcasting and magnifying that reputation that you already have. And of course, here's the other problem. If your reputation sucks, again, and you start going about all this social media the wrong way, and every social media post is buy my stuff, read my blog, me, it'll have the opposite effect. Yes, you'll amplify, but people will unfriend and unfollow and block you on email and block you on voicemail and, disconnect and say no thanks because there's too much hype, there's too much crap coming from this person. So make sure that your amplification strategies are valuable, relevant, and high impact.
See a lot of people, and I guess in some ways myself included, with the show, where a lot of the stuff I'm putting out on social is little, I suppose, graphics that are with a headline about the show and what the value that they're going to get from the show and what the show is about. There's no pitch in it. It's just, I suppose, pointing people back to the show in a sense, and an episode where they can get value. And I do put a little bit of other stuff in their messages and stories and things, but not as much as I should. Is that kind of one of the things with social that could be considered a little bit of a no-no, like a lot of the content being pointing back to your podcast or your blog posts or, that kind of thing? What other kinds of stuff other than their content, and of course the occasional, 1 in 5 or 10 or 15 being some kind of pitch, what other things should people be getting in there?
Well, that's a great question. I actually wrote a blog post about this called "Why Your Business Needs to Flop," and I think we may have even chatted about this in our last interview. But FLOP is an acronym for Feature and Leverage Other People, because the truth is that thought leaders and experts showcase other thought leaders and experts. Now, you're in kind of a unique situation, Josh, because part of what you're doing when you're amplifying your podcast is you are, in fact, featuring and leveraging other experts. So when you tweet that, hey, I was on, I just had a great conversation with @D Newman, listen in here, that's a little bit of both. I mean, you're not pitching your digital services. You're not pitching a speech or a consulting program. You are spreading the seeds of your content marketing strategy. But I would go even further. So, what are 5 other podcasts that you love and listen to and respect? Who are 10 other experts in the digital marketing space that you recognize and respect? Understanding the pie is big enough for everybody. And in fact, our job as entrepreneurs and as thought leaders and as experts, our job is to make the pie bigger. So if you love my material, you'd probably love Josh Denning. If you love my material, you'd probably love Pam Slim. If you love my material, here's Chris Guillebeau, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not afraid to showcase and quote and interview and point people to other people's empires. Because again, think about it. The more that you do that with your own tribe, your reputation is going to grow. Because now you're not just insecure about it's all about me. Here's my stuff. Here's my blog. Here's my program. Here's my pitch. Here's my content. You're saying you're now becoming a curator and a collator and a collector of cool ideas and cool people. So that is huge, and that will magnify your reputation, because now people are not only hearing about your great stuff, they're hearing from you about other great people and resources.
Yeah, true that. It's massive. I think it's really hard, I think, a lot of people to actually get used to that and accept that that's the case, especially like where you mentioned, let's take my case, for example, of if I was actually tweeting out, here are 10 other digital marketing consultants that I really respect and that do great work. Now that I've realized now and have fully learned that is a big thing for me, because it actually makes clients look at me and think, well, wow, look at him. He's willing to actually say all these other guys are great and he's vetted them and they're good too, but they do the same thing as he does, but he's actually open to doing that. So he must be really good and confident in himself if he's able to do that. But that took a long time to come around to accepting that. And I know a lot of people that I know that I speak to regularly that are in business, that I talk to about the whole strategy of finding people that are in your market to reach out to do podcasts with, or to guest blog with, or to JV with, and that they're like, oh, but they're a competitor. We're after the same client. That's not really going to work. That's a conflict of interest, and they just freak out, and it's just really hard for them to wrap their heads around. What do you think is a couple of quick things, David, that you can say to help people wrap their heads around the fact that no, this is going to increase your pie and increase your reputation and really make you look better and just do all that kind of good stuff?
Well, so the two things. Number one, besides the stone cold fact that you've proven this to be true in your business, and I've proven this to be true in my business, and we're just two small examples. The second thing that I would say to encourage people is, not everyone is going to buy from you. And so that sounds like an obvious statement, but let me explain that. Some people will come to you only for your content, but you're not going to be their teacher. You're not going to be their Sherpa. You're not going to be their implementer. Now, here's the benefit of this on the other side. Followers of other experts, they might say, well, I love reading Michael Port's blog. I love watching Michael Port's video. But you know what? I'm not going to hire Michael as my coach. I'm not going to go to his boot camp because I'm much more of a David Newman kind of guy. Or it could go the other way, right? Where people have been reading my newsletter for years and I'm just not I'm not their cup of tea when it comes to personality or style, or my programs are too intense or not intense enough, or who knows what it is. So we all have followers at different levels of interest. And, I love Perry Marshall's work and the whole 80-20 marketing and sales because he's stone cold right. 20% of your tribe are going to be awesome, fabulous prospects, and they will buy anything and everything you have to offer. The other 80%, they don't unsubscribe. In fact, they love your content. They love your podcast. They love your blog. They love all your free webinars. They love all your free teaching. But maybe you're not their tools person, and maybe you're not their implementation person. There are followers of other gurus and other experts where, yes, they are, they have the free content, but they want your tools, or they want your implementation, or your personality resonates more with them. So the fact that not everyone is for everyone, that's why it's so good to share the pie, do these joint ventures and cross promotions. I will sometimes get, and this is so funny, it always makes me laugh and it always keeps me humble. When I do a joint venture mailing and my joint venture partner says, holy smoke, I got 20 people to buy from your promotion. I said, well, that's funny because I did a similar thing about a year ago and I got 3 of my people to buy my thing, but yet I got 20 of my people to buy your thing, right? So it could be a different price point. It could be, like I said, a personality issue. It could be just that it's the right time and the right place and the right people doing it for the right reason. But understand, your list is your asset. And if you can't sell to your list, maybe you can serve these people some other way by introducing them to other folks who can.
Very well put. Very well put.
I mean, you have to be very mature about this and realize that not everyone on your list is your, are you their cup of tea? So the more you introduce, well, here's coffee, here's hot chocolate, here's a nice glass of scotch. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, I like this restaurant. Now, I'm not going to get their signature dish, but they just referred me over here, and I'm going to go over there. But I'm going to stay connected to that referral source because they're such a valuable connector, and they're such a valuable curator.
That makes a lot of sense. It's actually another interesting thing that comes up a lot at the agency with businesses that's really, I still find a bit mind-boggling, but is definitely starting to change, and they're starting, a lot of small businesses particularly are starting to wake up to it a lot more, and that's small businesses that have got a decent sized database, of emails and first names and things, and they could be in some kind of archaic database, or they might even be MailChimp or the Infusionsoft, rarely, but they may well be. And the business owners are like, well, I don't want to mail them because they might get annoyed, and they're not going to read that often, and I just think they're too busy to read it, and blah blah blah, and they might unsubscribe, and I just can't help thinking, and I've said it on a number of occasions, and sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't, that, well, look, what's the point of having them if they're never going to unsubscribe if you never mail them, and they're just never going to even know. Like, if you're not going to mail them, there's no point having them. Or if you're only mailing once every 2 weeks, well, that's okay, but you're also probably getting drowned out in the noise. What would you say to that business owner that is kind of still of that type of mind?
Well, so we, you and I deal primarily with information marketers, lifestyle marketers, people like ourselves. I find for our type of business, The more email you send, the more money you make. And it's just that simple. So for all the reasons that you said, don't not mail your list, don't mail infrequently, or don't mail irregularly. And I love when people unsubscribe. I mean, it hurts a little bit, but I've learned to love it because, again, they self-select out of the tribe, right? If they want off the island, I'm a little bit sad, and I wave and I say, have a nice trip, and you're gone. But so my business right now, and this has been a recent evolution, actually, the last 18 months or so. I am much more moving towards a launch-based business. So I have my evergreen content, my evergreen programs that are always available, but I'm launching these courses now. So I've got my book marketing workshop, my speaker marketing workshop. It's so funny because I've recently done a couple of speaking engagements, and people come up to me and say, David, I'm on your list. And I just laugh and I say, God bless you. Thank you for staying. I so much appreciate it, because each launch, I'm literally sending, over the course of maybe 2 weeks, I'm sending 18 to 20 emails almost every day. And some of the list is segmented, but sometimes I've started to hit my main list much more frequently with these offers. And then I'll try and convert them or filter them over to a sub list for a webinar or a teleseminar or a cheat sheet or a download. But so I've started doing two things, really. I'm mailing my regular main list much more aggressively, and then I'm filtering and sorting into folks who want to write a book or who want to, make money as a speaker or make money as a consultant or all those different things that I do. So those sub lists I hit really, really, really often. And what I find is that the more that you filter and sort, and this kind of internet marketing 101, but the more that you filter and sort, right, you have people on the sub list. On my main list, I might get 10, 11, 12% open rate. I think my highest just general email was 16 or 17%, which is crazy good for me. On a sub list, I'll get between 25 and 40%, sometimes 50% open rate on a sub list. If I have a whole bunch of non-fiction business book authors and I'm doing the book marketing workshop, well, they're hungry for that information. They want that information. They're seeking that information. So it would be marketing malpractice for me not to mail the heck out of them. And I'm not mailing them, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. It's, hey, here's another video. Hey, here's a cheat sheet. Hey, here's a blog post with 7 tips to magnify and monetize your book. So it's a content marketing strategy with, P.S., the book marketing workshop is filling up. P.S., there's 3 days left to sign up for the book marketing workshop. So, don't confuse launch content with marketing content. Launch content has value, and the marketing message might be a subtle link or a P.S. or a don't forget. But yeah, the more I mail, boy, the more money I make.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. So we've covered, I think that's kind of gone into leverage a little bit, like it's touched the surface, but I guess that's the next step. How do we go? So we've got our reputation, we've amplified it with content and relationships and getting it out there. Now it's time to add leverage to really amp the exposure even further. How does that work?
Yes, absolutely. So leverage is about taking that content and then figuring out what marketing or sales or business development purpose it might serve. So once you've established that you've got the great content, the videos, the audios, the podcast recordings, the blogs, what have you, who can you send that to? And again, I just mentioned, you're right, we did scratch the surface because I just mentioned sending it to a sub list of folks that have a particular interest, but it's not, it's, by the way, here's something that you might find valuable. And if you want to go much, much deeper, here's an investable opportunity, right? Here's a tool, here's a class, here's a done-for-you service. Getting back to our Home Depot model. Now, you can also, if you're doing business-to-business sales or you're selling to individual prospects, imagine having a detailed, really high-value article or checklist or ebook. And you start to show up in your prospect's world. This is part of your sales process now. You say, Dear Bob, great to be connected with you on LinkedIn. And so I saw your question in the LinkedIn leadership group about, how to develop new leaders. I just wrote a 12-page ebook about it. Here's the link. right? No opt-in, no email, no nothing, because you're going to track this in your sales process. Here's the link. Feel free to share it with your team. Now, you haven't sold Bob anything. You're not pitching your super duper leadership development program. You're saying, hey, Bob, you had a question about this. Here's a free resource. Feel free to share it with your team. Now, if it's a great resource, and it probably is, because it comes from you, they're going to read it. They're now going to start passing that link along to their vice presidents and to their director and to their whole team. And again, you're going to have your logo and your contact information and your website address and your email address and your phone number, of course, in that little PDF. But now they're doing your work for you. Now there's 10 executives inside that company that have read your content, benefited from your value, and have your contact information on their hard drive. Now let's multiply that times 3, times 5, times 10, times 12, times 20, right? I'm a big believer in your sales process. You only want to have 20 active prospects at once because that's all you can manage. You can't boil the ocean. But imagine if you had a spreadsheet, right? Step 1, find high probability prospects on LinkedIn. Step 2, send them the Leadership Strategies ebook with the note that I just described for you. Step 3 might be a follow-up. Step 4 might be an invitation to be interviewed. Step 5 might be a thank you note. Step 6 might be featuring them on your blog. Step 6, Step 7, Step 8. At some point, and here's where I'm going with this leverage piece, if you offer enough value and you're continually showing up in their world like a happy squeaky wheel, you have earned the right to invite. You have earned the right to invite them to a sales conversation. Say, Bob, by the way, we've been chatting back and forth. I've sent you all these fabulous resources. You seem to really be wrestling with this challenge. I have a couple more ideas for you. I'd love to hop on the phone and explore some other ways I might be helpful to you. Now, some of those ways might be free. Some of those ways might be low cost. Some might be medium cost. Some might be super duper ultra expensive. It's, hey, how about we do a webinar for your team? How about we do an on-site training day? How about we do a keynote at your next leadership retreat or conference? So whatever it is, right, at some point, there's a pivot. And at that pivot is when you go from happy squeaky wheel to trusted advisor. I think there's some other ways I can be helpful to you. Would you like to jump on the phone and explore what those might look like? And again, it's a very high trust, high integrity, high touch invitation to a sales conversation. You're not pushy, you're not needy, you're not salesy, you're not sleazy. You're just saying, hey, I've offered you all this free wonderfulness that only goes so far. Right? I mean, you don't say that it only goes so far, but obviously sending an article or a podcast or interviewing them, that only goes so far. Now they have an awareness of their problem and they have an awareness of your expertise. It's now your job in that leverage step to connect those two concepts. I know what you're going through and I can fix it. Would you like to have a discussion of what that might look like in your world?
Yeah, that's very, very good indeed. And it's what so many people, unfortunately, are not doing. But really, if they can get that happening in their businesses, wow, boy, does it make things a lot easier for you, doesn't it?
It'll just be you, me, and 2 of our listeners. So the 4 of us will be, instant overnight billionaires because we're so valuable and so helpful to our target markets.
Well, that's it, isn't it? All you've really got to do, and I guess what this is about in a big way, is finding systems and processes to be able to help a lot more of the right people a lot more often without actually having to exert your own physical effort into all of it, but then only placing your physical own personal effort towards those people that raise their hand and qualify themselves after being through a stack of your content and information and sequences, that they say, okay, well, look, I want to go a step further. I'm ready to get some direct one-on-one help from you. I know what you're about. I know your message. I know your skills. I know your credibility. I know who you're connected to. I like what you're saying. I'm willing to pay a premium because of that. I want to talk to you. And now they've been filtered and sifted and qualified without you having to actually physically be there or talk to them or cold call or do any of that difficult stuff. Of course, you've had to do all the work to put it all together, but you're now in a situation where it's much, much easier to talk to that person and to do business, aren't you?
Absolutely right. Because two things have happened up to this point. You've been radically helpful and you've been radically useful to them. And so now, in order to take that value prop to the next level, that's where your investable opportunities come in, whatever that is, your coaching, your consulting, your services, your back-end professional services that you do to make a living.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we move to gravity.
Yeah, so gravity, the best way that I like to describe this is very similar to Jim Collins' flywheel analogy in the book Good to Great, that a flywheel is this big, heavy steel thing. It takes a lot of energy to get it moving, and at first it starts moving very, very slowly, but then you keep applying this consistent energy. You keep pushing and pushing, and your hand starts moving a little bit faster on the flywheel. Pretty slow, it starts to gain momentum, and this whole concept of momentum is critical. Because, I think it's Newton's third law. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. So this is why it's so important to get into motion, because it's going to be a self-reinforcing system. And so now you've got the flywheel spinning. It's up at a good rate. It's going to keep spinning. It's going to give you that momentum that you need. It's going to start paying off. So you're going to, with offer, value, invite, engagement, you're going to start to have more and more inquiries, more and more links, more and more blog comments, more followers, more connections on LinkedIn, more inbound calls, more inbound emails, more people opting into your list. More, hey, Josh, that sounds fantastic. We were just talking about this in a meeting. This is so important. We're working on this right now. How can you help us? And that's the question. It's not, you don't want the question, what can I buy from you? You want the question, how can you help us? And again, they already kind of know the answer because you've been radically helpful and radically useful all the way up to that conversation, right? They will more often come to you, but if they don't, you go back to our previous strategy about, the right to invite. But this is where everything starts to pay off. You're going to start to get better quality and better quantity of leads. You're going to get bigger opportunities. You're going to have more at-bats. You're going to have more sales conversations. You're going to have higher profile alliances and affiliations. So as you start to build your posse, you start to feature and leverage other people. That's going to start to move upstream. So bigger and bigger and bigger players that have more prominence and preeminence in your field will want to affiliate with you, will want to showcase and feature your expertise, just as you're showcasing and featuring theirs. And then for heaven's sakes, the holy grail is you will start to make more money. Because again, think about, people say, well, I'm doing social media. Where are the sales? That's trying to go from step 1 to step 4. Step 4 is you've done all this work, you've planted all these seeds. How can they possibly not bear more fruit? I mean, it's at this point, it's illogical. It is nonsensical to think that you won't make more sales, bigger sales, better sales, and faster sales. And this has proven itself time and time and time again, Josh, your business, my business, our clients and our listeners' businesses. So folks that are nodding their heads right now, yes, you're on the right track. This will lead to more leads, better prospects, bigger sales, more opportunities, higher profile alliances. Everything will start to click. Now, that doesn't mean that you're done. That doesn't mean that, I've arrived, I'm done, right? And all the big internet marketers, all the folks that you and I, affiliate with and follow and admire, they're never done. They're always raising the bar. They're always raising the bar on value. They're always raising the bar on their content. They keep pushing. They never take the foot off the gas pedal. And that's the danger that I see. Once people reach a plateau of success with this, they take their foot off the gas. And then, because again, this is like an engine, right? Or the flywheel. The flywheel, although yes, it will slow down very slowly, it will in fact slow down and it will eventually stop. And it'll be dead in the water, just like when you started, if you don't maintain that care and feeding and value and momentum and sales conversations and good marketing content and offer value, invite engagement, feature and leverage other people. It is an ongoing journey, and that's a huge, huge point.
Do you think with the right people and the right systems and the right technology that you can get a flywheel to a point where it can literally keep perpetually growing itself without the original owner's presence? Like for the long term, like not just like 3-month stints here and there, but literally like 3, maybe 5 years away from the business, and they come back and their business is 5 times the size it was when they left?
Well, sure. I mean, it's the exception to the rule, really. But if you look at these global franchises like Dale Carnegie or David Allen with Getting Things Done, or all of these sort of expert businesses, and that's what we're really talking about, is sort of an expertise business model. Can you transfer, multiply, and amplify that expertise? Sure. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trainers and dozens of offices around the world for the Dale Carnegie training. Disney has done a great job with institutionalizing their Disney University training. And so now there's hundreds and hundreds of Disney University trainers. Stephen Covey, Franklin Covey, time management and productivity training is another example. But you have to, that doesn't happen by accident. So I know that sounds like an obvious statement, but those entrepreneurs, they knew, getting back to my very first concepts in the Do It Marketing book, they designed that business model. They designed that delivery model, and they designed that revenue model very, very intentionally. So, Stephen Covey knew that it was not going to be the Stephen Covey show. That's why he partnered up with Franklin Planner, and that's why we have Franklin Covey today. He wanted to institutionalize. He wanted to make this an organization, not a solo practice or not a solo consultancy with five or six sub-consultants. So think in terms, if you want to do this, it's totally doable. Think in terms of licensing, certifying, cloning, and replicating what you do through and with other people. It's a totally different road than the solopreneur expert model, but it can be very, very profitable. And, you're really building a revenue machine that is outside of your personal time, attention, and presence. And that can be huge. Now, you can also do this online, but again, online, that doesn't, you still have to keep innovating and you still have to stay present. So rather than being the expert in your expertise business, you become the CEO of your expertise business, but that still needs constant, care, feeding, management, growth, innovation, new ideas, and new energy to keep people engaged and to keep growing the tribe. What a great question, though. I mean, that's, if you want to have the next Dale Carnegie franchise or the next Disney University or the next Franklin Covey, you can certainly map it out and design it and work towards it starting right now, but it's not going to happen by accident.
No, absolutely. Have you done any of the Disney University courses, David?
I have not. The closest I've come is I've lost business to a company that rather than hiring me, they said, well, we're going with Disney. And so what that indicated to me, that was actually a good thing. What that indicated to me is they had a completely different set of priorities, and it was a completely different fit that they were after. And if that's the decision that they made, because Disney University is so different from what I do, obviously, that I just realized, wow, good call. And I'm probably, again, I'm not your teacher, right? I'm not your consultant. I'm not your guy. They were on my list. They love my newsletter. This was a big, Fortune 100 pharmaceutical company, which was automatically not really a match for me anyway. But, big companies want to buy from big companies. Smaller entrepreneurial companies, tropical entrepreneurs want to buy from other tropical entrepreneurs. It's rare that a little company will buy from a big whale, and it's equally rare that a big whale will buy from a small, tiny company. It happens, but it's rare.
Yeah, so very true. So one of the last kind of things I really want to ask you, David, which I think will be a very interesting answer potentially, is if you could think of like the top 3 pieces of content that need to be weaved throughout the podcast, the blog posts, the videos, whatever the modalities are, it doesn't really matter. But the top 3 types of pieces that need to be weaved into those modalities, what are they? What are those 3 most important pieces, like types of pieces in terms of the topic that they're about, what their purpose is, etc.?
Fantastic. So, and again, you're masterful at weaving this into your podcast, so a lot of these will sound familiar to you. I think number 1, you have to have engaging, valuable, actionable tips. So it shouldn't be all strategy, all theory, all kind of, pie in the sky, generic stuff. It should be, listen, here's what to do. Here's what to say. Here's the next step, actionable step-by-step type of content. I think people really like that. Number 2 is stories. Stories, examples, metaphors, things that bring your concepts and your expertise to life. So, you're masterful at extracting stories out of your guests. I think the stories is what makes the tactics stick. And then the third thing I think you need to have a sense of empathy. And this is certainly true. The marketers realize this. I used to be where you are. I know what it feels like, right? Weaving in, I wasn't always a rock star. And I think, Josh, in our previous interview, I told you the first 3 years of my business were a complete and utter train wreck, and they were. And I don't share that out of a sense of humility or false humility. That is a statement of fact. My first 3 years in business, I was a complete and utter mess. And we talked about that last time, about why that was and how that showed up. But I weave that every time I speak, every time I do a group coaching program, almost every interview. I share, you're looking, if you're looking at someone like Josh, you're looking at someone like me, please don't, if you're just starting out, if you're just launching your business, please don't compare yourself to Josh. Please don't compare yourself to me. Please don't compare yourself to anybody, because we didn't start this way. You're looking not only at a different kind of business, you're looking at a crystal ball 10 years into the future. Because Josh, you said that you've been doing this for over a decade.
And a decade of learning and self-study and everything before that.
Exactly. So someone who's on day 1 and they're comparing that to your day 20,000, that's crazy, right? So have some empathy in your content. Have some, I know what you're going through. I've sat in your chair. I know what it feels like. I didn't always have this figured out. Trust me. And I'm saying those things as examples for you, but I'm also saying that that's a stone cold fact. I'm saying those things actually about me and my life. Believe me, all the wisdom that we've been talking about here and all of Josh's great tips and points, he didn't know this on day 1. The stuff that I'm talking to you about today, I had no idea on day 1. I wasn't even teaching it, much less practicing it. And here's a final flip. Here's a final flip that I think every tropical entrepreneur needs to hear. Don't worry about practicing what you preach. How about if you only preach what you practice? Only preach what works in your experience with your clients, in your world, in your expertise. Don't overstretch. Well, I guess this will work. I think this sounds good. Maybe this is it. No. We want proven stone cold strategies. What's worked for you? What's worked for your clients and customers? We want to see proof. We want to see success stories. We want to see happy, smiling puppies. That's what we want to see. So I've now changed my business where truly all I preach is what I've practiced and what I've proven, not only in my business, but with hundreds and hundreds of my clients. So there's no guessing. There's no theory. There's no fluff. There's no BS. It's all the real deal stuff. Everything else that I used to teach, and again, this is back 10 years ago, prior to me having a grip and a clue, all the stuff I used to teach 10 years ago that weren't directly relevant to me and my world. I used to teach leadership, and I used to teach customer service and time management and hiring and firing and basket weaving, and I had 30 different workshop topics. I dropped all of that because I can now teach you and show you what you need to do as a small and solo business owner to market and sell and grow your business. And that's all I do all day long. So final tip, imagine if you're having a prospect conversation and they say, well, Josh, do you do this? Can you help us with that? And if you laugh, have a little laugh in your pocket and go, well, that's all I do all day long. And if that's true, and I want it to be true, that's all I do all day long is a huge positioning advantage. It's a huge trust and credibility strategy. Because if it's true, that's who they want to work with. They want to work with the brain surgeon. They want to work with the deep expertise specialist. Generalists die on price. Experts win on value. Experts win on value. So your expertise, if you say this is all I do all day long, people go, sign me up. I'm in. I'm ready.
So true. I do want to dig just a tiny bit deeper quickly on that, because I remember, and you just when you were saying it, it took me back, like I suppose maybe 18 years ago or something, when I was really first studying a lot of Jim Rohn stuff, even, and Tom Hopkins, and even Earl Nightingale, and I can't remember who it was exactly that was saying something fairly similar to. I think it was Jim Rohn that said something fairly similar to that. That you should only ever preach what you practice. I think was how he said it. What you're doing day in, day out. You shouldn't really be teaching it if you haven't successfully done it and achieved it, and your story should be.
I love that. Well, and it may even be a Jim Rohn quote that managed to work its way into my psyche. I know it wasn't my original, but it's such a powerful cornerstone concept.
But you know what, David, as well, it freaked me out when I was quite young and I was just learning it. So I thought, but I don't have that much experience now, and I'm not sure, and what should I go and do, and how do I get it? And I'm just thinking of the person that might be listening that's kind of me, 18 years ago, that's having those thoughts now, that hasn't got a lot of stuff built up yet, but they still have that deep feeling to want to help people and want to create training and really want to change the world in some way, like I did, 18 years ago. And, what could we say to that person?
Well, that's a great question. If you're committed to only preaching what you practice, folks, start practicing. Practice a lot. Practice fast. Compress that experience. Compress that experiential learning. What makes me crazy is people who are getting ready to get ready, and who are waiting and prepping and planning and thinking, and someday I'm gonna, maybe, sorta, shoulda, over here, over there, everywhere. I'm like, no, just start. You can always change. I'm probably on version 17. I'm on version 17.0. of the Do It marketing business model, business plan, iteration, installation. But if I hadn't started with version 1.0 that was broken and crappy and crazy and dumb, I would not be at version 17.0. So, just start. And, you don't need to see the entire, this is another motivational quote from the atmosphere. You don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. All you need is step after step after step, and then the fog will lift, and you'll see the next step. And then the fog will lift again a little bit, and you'll see the third step and the fourth step. But you got to keep moving. So the thing that makes me crazy is entrepreneurs who are stuck in analysis paralysis and just, overthinking, overanalyzing, getting ready to get ready mode. You pull the trigger. Let's go. And the going is where the learning happens. And then the learning is where you can start to preach what you've practiced.
Power. And I think just to hopefully use you as a little bit of a lesson in proof of your at being 17.0, and we actually brought this up on the last episode, but I think it's a perfect time to do it again, to really go and see that what David said there about being at 17.0 is so very true with him, is to go to the Wayback Machine and archive.org. And I was doing this with Do It Marketing, I guess it was almost a year ago. Oh my Lord,
God bless you again.
You will see,
yes.
Just do you want to run them through, David, about how many variations there's been and everything?
Well, I haven't visited Wayback, the archive.org. I've gone there just to laugh and chuckle, but I probably haven't been there in about a year. I don't know. There are probably 20, 25 different posts in there. You probably saw the one with the big dog on the homepage. And then you saw, small business marketing, professional services marketing, where it is today. and again, I'm saying this because I know version 18.0 is around the corner. I'm not sure what it is, but version 18.0 is coming. Version 17.0 is thought leadership marketing for consultants, speakers, coaches, and solo professionals, because that is the sub niche. That's the niche of the niche. That's the core of my expertise. And I used to be so broad, and I was getting, here's the problem. If you're too broad and you're doing the marketing strategies and the sales strategies that we just talked about, you will start to get all kinds of leads from all the wrong prospects. And in the last 12 months or the last maybe 2 years, that's what started happening. I'd get calls from manufacturing companies. I'd get calls from retail stores. I'd get calls from restaurant owners. Folks, I don't work with manufacturing companies. I don't work with retail stores. I don't work with restaurants. But they see small business marketing. That was such a catch-all, right? This guy can help us. And I had beautiful conversations with people that I had to say no to because I wasn't focused. I wasn't specific enough. And in the last 18 months, I have thin sliced my thin slice. And so that's version 17.0. But yeah, if you want to have some fun, check out the Wayback Time Machine, not just for my website, check out the Wayback Time Machine for your website. Not Josh, but you, the listener. Check out your own evolution, and you'll be scratching your head amazed. If you've been in business for more than a year, you'll be amazed at even some of the subtle changes that you've made and how crazy and goofy you were back at the beginning.
Yeah, that's an awesome thing that a guy that I really love to listen to and respect and has taught me a huge amount is Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach. And he has that thing where he says about when if you're always looking forward to where you want to go, you're missing a huge amount of the richness, and you really need to often take some time to also look 10 years back and look how far you've come as well, and pat yourself on the back for all the development that you've already made, but then also be excited about moving forward. And a great way to do that is to jump on the Wayback Machine and have a look at your own site. So that was a good one too. David, thank you so much. It's been brilliant as usual, but just one more thing before you rock and roll, and that's to let everybody know again all the different ways they can find out more about you, about your books, about your sites, your product programs, how they can get in contact with you if they might want to work with you on a deeper level, all that kind of good stuff.
Perfect. Well, everything is on the mothership at doitmarketing.com. And all my social media is there. I'm happy to connect on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter is at DNewman, DNEWMAN. The blog, of course, is doitmarketing.com/blog. And if you want some companion tools and resources that are specific to the Do It Marketing book, those are online at doitmarketing.com/book.
Fantastic, and tremendously grateful, David, to have you as a friend. It is a blessing to have had you share on the show, and really look forward to, as always, speaking to you again, hopefully not too far down the track.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for listening to the Tropical Entrepreneur Show. You can download your free guide to the top 5 tools to grow your location independent business fast by visiting tropicalentrepreneur.com.